Welcome to GoVMlab, India's first job-ready VMware learning platform where professionals meet experts to revolutionize their VMware careers.
Now, the very last service, what do we have it in the NSX? Basically, is your NAT services. NAT, I think we all know that it's again industry standard, right? Like we have a DSCP, we have a DNS, we have a load balancer, we have a VPN. On the similar lines, we have a service called NAT, and we all know that NAT stands for network address translation, right? But there are different versions of NAT, which is SNAT and DNAT. So I'll just explain you what is this SNAT and DNAT. It's again industry standard, right? So NAT is a method by which IP addresses are mapped from one rearm to another. NAT is defined in the RFC document, as you could see that. The NAT configured IP address is the IP address that is replaced in the IP header, right? So, I mean, we all know that, right? For example, let's say this is my subsystem. So I think I have a diagram for that. Maybe the diagram I'll explain you. So I think the NAT concept we all know, right? It's something called network address translation. Network address translation. Correct? Why do I need this NAT? For example, let's say this is my corporate system where these are my corporate servers. This is my corporate servers. And let's say they have IP addresses 172.16.10.1, 172.16.10.2, 172.16.10.3. And let's say there's a some external server, maybe some Google server is there, right? This is my Google server. One way of communicating it is that from this particular server, go and raise a request to Google server, right? So, I mean, obviously this source IP, this would be, let's say 8.8.8, whatever is the destination IP, right? So I can directly make a request to this Google server. And this is my corporate network. This is my corporate network, right? Which is very confidential network, right? But then Google server is a public server. And if I allow this kind of direct communication that this web server can directly make a request to this Google server, what will happen? Google server will know what IP addressing I'm using it, right? Which means I am exposing my identity to some public server, which is not a good thing, right? Why should I expose my identity, my corporate network information to some public server, right? And that is where what we use something called NAT. So what NAT do it for us? What is the whole ideation of NAT? We actually deploy another device right here as an abstraction layer. So this is another kind of abstraction layer, the NAT device, right? The NAT device will have some public IP. Let's say it have some public IP 6.6.6.6, for example. So what I'm saying that I will send a request to this NAT device. What this NAT device will do, it will take my request. Let's say the request is coming from 170.60.10.1. So it will actually take this request from 10.1 and it will translate into 6.6.6. And then it will send a request to the Google server. So what the Google server will be seeing the IP addresses, Google server will be seeing IP addresses at 6.6.6.6, which is the public IP, right? But then I have hide all my corporate private IP behind this public IP so that my public server does not know what is the network, what are the devices who is actually generating that request, right? That is the whole idea of NAT. And this is the reason we say that network address translation, because your actual address is being translated into a new NATed address. And this address is actually making a request to the Google server. So now we actually created this isolation, privacy, security as well by deploying this NAT devices, right? So whenever your corporate server sending a request to any public server, it always go via NAT, because we don't want to expose our actual identity, actual IP addressing schemes, or the identity of our corporate servers directly to any public server. And that is where we create this NAT. So the NAT, what it's saying, this is what this statement says, that the NAT configured IP addresses is the IP address that is replaced in the IP header. So the request actually originated by this 172.16.10.1, but the NAT knows that the request is being generated by 172.16.10.1 because NAT is my part of my corporate server. But when he sent this request to the Google, he put its own IP. It's like a masking. It's doing it. The request actually generated by someone else, but he's putting that request and masking that request with some netted IP and giving that request to the Google server. So Google server, any external server, even if they want to attack, they can only attack to this device, but they can never get to know what is the internal inside that device, right? That is the whole idea of NAT. Now in the NAT, we have a two kind of implementation, source NAT and destination NAT. The source NAT means the source IP address of the header will be translated by another IP addresses. Destination NAT, where the destination IP address of the header is replaced by another IP address. So as I said in the NAT, the IP translation is happening, right? IP translation happening means basically your one of the IP will be translated with the NATed IP. The question here is that which IP, source IP or destination IP? If source IP is getting translated, it would be source NAT. If destination IP is getting translated, then it would be destination NAT, right? So this is what it's all about it. So NAT can be configured again on the tier 0, tier 1 gateways. You can configure two kind of NAT rules, SNAT and DNAT. And when you really look at the use cases of SNAT and DNAT, so let's say, take this example. This is my end, this is, let's say, this is my web server. Okay, let's say this VM1 is my web server, my corporate server, whatever it is, right? Let's say VMware.com. You run VMware.com website. So VMware.com web server service is actually running on this VM1. But as an end user, you go and open up the laptop and you search for VMware.com. Just give me a minute, guys. Yeah. So what I was saying that is, let's assume that you actually raise a request and you are hitting the URL VMware.com, right? When you're hitting this URL of VMware.com, we know that this is the VM having an IP address 172.16.10.1 is actually holding that web server. So this is the VM1 which is going to serve that request. But do you think we should be exposing this IP addresses right here, right? So what happens is basically whenever you raise a request, so let's say this guy is having an IP address 8.8.8. When it will send a request, the request will come to the NAT gateway. And NAT gateway will be having, let's say, IP addresses, let's say 9.9.9.9. So what is happening as when you hit the VMware.com, the source IP would be your client machine IP, your desktop IP, but destination IP would be NATed IP, right? And then once NAT device receives this request, NAT knows that whenever this request is coming, I need to send this request to 172.16.10.1, which means your destination IP, which was 9.9.9.9, got translated into 172.16.10.1, which means your destination IP is getting translated into internal IP. Because your destination IP is getting translated, we call this rule as a DNAT rule. Because your your client machine does not know what is that exact server which is processing its request. Your client server does not know. What the client server knows that even if you do the packet capture, he will only see that the response is coming from 9.9.9. But we know that the 9.9 is the illusion, what we are giving to the external client machine. But we know that internally the NAT knows that he has forwarded that request to one of the web server who is actually serving that request. So this particular rule, we call it as a DNAT rule because here the translated IP is your destination IP, right? Because source IP would be 8.8.8, but destination IP got translated from 9.9 to 172.16.10.1. This is what the DNAT is all about. Source NAT. What is source NAT? Let's say this is my Google server. This is my Google server, and one of my user of my organization want to talk to this Google server, right? So he has this IP 172.16.10.1, right? When he make a request, the gateway will have an IP address 199.9.9, right? So when this VM1 sends a request, the source IP would be 172.16.10.1. The destination IP, he might be sending to 8.8.8. But as when the request come to this gateway, the NATed gateway knows that, okay, I need to mask this IP. So what it's going to do, it will mask this 172.16.10.1 IP into 9.9.9, and then it will send this request to Google server. So what is happening? Which IP is getting translated? Your source machine IP. Your source VM IP is getting translated by NATed device from 172.16.10.1 to 9.9.9. And then it is sending a new packet request to your Google server. So Google knows that the request is coming from 9.9, but we know that actually the request is coming from 172.16.10.1. In this example, because your source VM IP 172.16.10.1 IP is getting translated into 9.9 IP, we call this as a source NAT rule, SNAT. So this is your SNAT example. This is your DNAT example. These are the two kind of NAT, basic NAT configuration. You can do it in the NSX environment depending on the flow of the traffic or the direction of the traffic. If traffic is coming from outside to inside, it will become a DNAT rule, which will be hit. If traffic is going from inside to outside, it would be SNAT rule, which will be hit. right? So that is where you actually go and define your NAT policies and NAT rules basically, right? And you do this kind of masking in NSX world, and VMware gives you this kind of capabilities. So
If you are preparing for NSX-t L3 admin, NSX-t consultant, NSX-t domain expert, or NSX-t solution engineer kind of profile, or if you are struggling to crack NSX interviews and want to prepare for NSX-t interviews for better career growth and career opportunities, or if you are preparing for VCP-NV or VCIX-NV kind of advanced certification, then we would strongly recommend you to join GoVMlab VMware NSX Zero to Hero Deep Dive program. Now, this is a very uniquely curated in-depth learning program about NSX networking and security capabilities. This program have received five-star rating from a lot of our careers. What This program have received five-star rating from a lot of our learners, and none of our learners have ever failed in NSX interviews. And with this in-depth learning program, they have been successfully transitioned their career into VMware NSX technology with the Zero to Hero Deep Dive program provided by GoVMlab. Now, here are the key highlights of this program. As you could see that it's 80 plus hours of intense learning program. We do provide 45 plus of hands-on lab to understand NSX networking security feature and its key capabilities. It will also help you to prepare yourself for not only VCP-NV, but also help you to prepare for VCIX-NV kind of advanced certification. Our mentors are having an industry experience of more than 15 years, and there are mentors who are having more than 10 years of experience on NSX technology, and they do hold all of the NSX certification. At GoVMlab, you also get flexibility to have one-on-one in-person doubt clarification session with our NSX mentor, and this program certainly going to help you for preparing for NSX job interviews as well. Now here we have captured some of the feedback from our learners. You can check out these feedbacks on our LinkedIn page, and as you could see that we have received five-star rating from all of the advanced. We have received a very good reviews and feedback from our learners. Now we do have captured some of the feedback from our learners for your reference. If you want to check it out, you can check out our LinkedIn page and you can find all of the learners reviews and what are they talking about GoVMlab NSX Zero to Hero deep dive program, as you could see that. And here we do have captured some of the feedback what we have received from our learners on our personal WhatsApp chat as well. So what are you waiting for? If you are looking for a very in-depth detailed learning program about VMware NSX technology, and you do have a passion to become VMware NSX expert, then reach out to us on this given phone number. You can also drop us email on the given email ID, or you can browse our website as well. So reach out to GoVMlab team and transition your so reach out to GoVMlab. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with GoVMlab. So what are you waiting for? Start your NSX journey with GoVMlab today itself. Thank you.